Welcome to my channel, where you can find cooking, cookery lessons, and tutorial. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you.
Comprehend the deeper meaning of pedagogy, grasp the definition and differences of the 5 pedagogical approaches, and design effective strategy or strategies of any or all 5 pedagogical approaches. Let us know the difference between pedagogy, teaching strategy, and technique/method. When you say pedagogy, it is a study of teaching methods, including the aims of education and the ways in which such goals may be achieved, according to Encyclopedia Britannica. Pedagogy is that the way on how we teach the content and the skills to our students, including the approaches, the strategies, and technique we are using in order to teach the content and the skills. When you say approach, it is a set of principles, beliefs, or ideas about the nature of learning which is translated into the classroom. Okay, one example of the approach is the Constructivist Approach, which is the learner-centered approach. Okay, then when it comes to strategy, it is a long-term plan of action designed to achieve a particular goal. So like for example, in TLE, our approach is more on student-centered or constructivist approach. And our strategy, like for example, in dealing the performance tasks of our students, the demonstration strategy, or the skills demonstration, especially to the grade 9 and grade 10 level. But although in grade 7 and 8, there are also skills demonstration. And when it comes to method is a systematic way of doing something. It implies an orderly arrangement of steps. It is more procedural. So let us go back to performance tasks. So like for example, in cookery, my strategy is more on the skills demonstration because that is the only way that I can assess the performance of my students. Since in TLE, 70% of their grade will be coming from the performance/output or product. And my method that I'm going to use in that performance is the showing method, wherein they're going to show the step-by-step procedures on how to, like for example, how to cook vegetables. To technique or activity, it is a well-defined procedure used to accomplish activity or task. Now, here are the 5 pedagogical approaches and their examples. So the first one is the Constructivist Approach, or this is a learner-centered approach. And in this approach, we have the 5 steps. The first is to engage. So how do you engage your students in your lesson? By posting questions. By posting questions, by showing stimulus or showing something to them, either realia or a picture, a diagram, and through that, you are letting your students to engage by letting them to think, to develop the critical thinking in their self. Then after you post that stimulus to your class. The next step now is the explore. The students will now begin to think more deeper about the concept. The next step is that they are going to explain. Students will now use their creative thinking in explaining the concepts. After explaining, elaborate step will follow. So during this step, the teacher serves as a guide to the students about the concepts they form. So the teacher will give more elaborate meaning explanations. And the last step is the evaluate. So during the evaluation, both the teacher and the students must do the evaluation. Further, the teacher will tell if the concept formed by the students are correct or are there any misconceptions from the students. And here are the suggested strategies in this approach. Thinking skills strategies. Wherein we're going to let the learners develop their ideas, analyze perspectives, solve problems, and make their own decisions. We have the activity-based teaching. It is more on experiential learning opportunities such as having hands-on experiences, project making, planning, and product creation. Engage in the activity-based teaching in TLE, especially in a specialization subject. Yan. So we are giving the chance for the students to show what they learned from our lesson by performing the task sheet. It means that we can assess the performance of our students is through a pictures, or the most appropriate is through a video. And then direct instruction. Direct instruction is the quickest way of learning because teachers provide the learning. Students model teachers' words and actions. One approach is the collaborative approach. So based from the picture, you can tell that collaborative approach is an approach wherein students, more than one students, working hand in hand to help one another to finish the task. And we have the different suggested strategies for collaborative approach. We have the online collaboration. The teachers can use internet for assigning tasks or group of work. And the teachers prepare the learners on becoming responsible netizens. Suggested strategy is the jigsaw method. So wherein learners work in a small group and letting them interact with another groups to gather small pieces of information that would later combine to form more information. Yan. Think, pair, share. The teachers provide a specific inquiry and let the learners initiate the 3 stages of think. So the first stage is a think, pair, and share. Stimulus that will make the students think. And after that, they will pair, select a partner about the stimulus presented by the teacher. There is the integrated processes approach wherein learners can involve their community, other subjects, or books and other source of information that is related to the topic that is given by the teacher. Teaching involves learners to take on teaching role in a school setting. Interactive instruction strategy. It addresses learners' need to be active in their learning and interact with others, including their teachers and peers. The next approach that I'm going to share with you is the integrative approach. Integrative approach is an approach where the learner brings together prior knowledge and experiences to support new knowledge experiences. And also, it enhances the students' capability to acquire real-life skills by linking content between and among subject areas. So that is integrative approach. To this effect, pedagogy of integration has 4 objectives according to Pacer, Girard, and Rogers 2006. Number 1, making sense of the learning process. 2, differentiating matters by relevance. 3, applying the learning to practical situations. And 4, associating the learned elements. So when you say integrative approach, this is an approach where we can integrate one subject to another subjects, one area to another area. Yeah. One milk to another milks. Thematic teaching, we integrate the same theme or the same lessons. We compress the same lessons into one lesson. The next one is the content-based instruction. For example, the integration of TLE to science, to math, to MAPE, classroom observation. The number one objective is the integration of content within or across curriculum. How can we integrate English in cooking? If the students cannot understand the procedures, then that students cannot cook. So in that case, the reading comprehension of English subject is integrated to the cooking. Generic competency model is that enable the students to develop competency or competencies by connecting one subject to another. You can now know how to connect one subject or one lesson from the other lesson. Then the student can now develop the competency. And for the focusing inquiry, this is the baseline and a direction. For example, a teacher uses different tools and assessment to check and to determine what the students had already achieved. And this is also one example of the integrative approach. This is the integrative performance, wherein you can combine, you can integrate Module 1, Module 2, Module 3 into one task. Yeah, so this is already explained wherein you can integrate science, English, and math in TLE lessons. We are now in inquiry approach. And we have the inquiry cycle. So the first one is to ask, second, investigate, third, create, fourth, discuss, and fifth, reflect. So how do we use inquiry approach in our lesson? We first posting a question or asking a question to the students. Then the students will investigate, will do a research about the questions you posted. Then after investigation, the students can now create the answers, write the answers to the questions. And then after that, the students can now discuss what she wrote as the answer to your questions. And the next cycle is the reflect, wherein the students will have the time to reflect if he answered right. And Here are the strategies for this approach. The cyclic inquiry model and the practical inquiry model demonstrates an activity or a process of a given content. Post the topic as a statement, starter, or a question on a small board. Communicates through writing with markers, asking questions, and making comments to the prompt and to each other's post. Wherein the teacher can post a statement on the board or on the screen. Then through that statement, the students will be able to generate concepts about the statement, make a comments to each other's post. And then knowledge building community model collects, processes the result at the end, the use of data for later activities based on the community of learners' participation. Making research on a particular topic, then the answers gathered will serve as the community's participation. And experiment an activity of doing investigation. This encourages the learner's interest to manipulate objects, test hypotheses, and work together to solve or prove something exciting. So, reflective approach. So the teacher must reflect before, during, and after teaching by answering these questions. Who I am teaching? What I am teaching? How will I teach? How will I know if the students understand? And here are the suggested strategies for the reflective approach. Self-analysis. And a student engage himself or herself in self-analysis when she reflects he succeeded or failed at some task. And also, through writing journals. A journal reveals feelings about the day's activities, including what could have enhanced, inhibited their learning. For a student, he or she asked to enter into his or her daily journal or diary for his own self-analysis. And a portfolio is a very personal document which includes frank, honest, and on-the-spot account of experiences. The reason why we ask the students to make portfolio in our subject is for them to compile their performances, their written works, summative tests, and the results of their performance tasks as well.
Thank you for watching. God bless.